If you've been following us up to this point, you've probably noticed that we've run a lot of different commands. And there may be times, like later on in the course, when we want to take a number of commands that we've run and we want to package them together and create a script. Or we might just want to see what were the different commands that we ran as we were doing some research. So get-history is the command that allows us to do that. So let's type in the help for get-history, and we'll see that this allows us to get a list of the commands that have been entered during the current session. So that's important to note. Get-history will keep the history as long as the PowerShell window is open. And it's important to know that as soon as you close the window, the history goes away as well. So you want to make sure that you capture your history if you need to send it someplace else before you leave the PowerShell console. Notice you can do an add-history, you can clear your history, you can invoke history as well. These are additional commands that actually allow you to take a history that you've gotten from a previous session and you can actually bring it in to your session. You can also invoke specific commands in your history by the number that we'll see in a second. So if we do a get-history, that's going to show us a list of all of the different commands that we've run. So you notice that as we go up, it starts at 1 and it goes all the way to 55. So that allows us to be able to see, okay, here's all of the different commands that we've run. We can also invoke any of those commands. So I can do an invoke -history, and I put in -id, and let's say I want to get the 45, which is the help get-command examples. That invokes that command for me. So when you have a large number of commands that are in your cache inside a PowerShell, that's a great way to do that as opposed to arrowing up or arrowing down to get to your specific commands. So a way I like to use to capture my history so that I can use it later, because I often do that for presentation and for lecture notes and when I'm building scripts, is I use get-history. And then I pipe that into the out-file command, which allows me to send the output from a command that's been run to a file of my choosing. So I'm going to send that to C scripts gethistory01.txt. And then I'm simply going to open up Notepad and open that file that I just created in Notepad. And there we go. So we have our complete history. So then what I could do is, if I needed to create a script out of this, I could simply copy and paste and I could clean it up and I could use that. Or I could simply save that as a reference of all of the different commands that I've run through my session. So that's a great way to keep track of those. So we'll go ahead and close that. And then the last tool I'm going to show you for keeping track of stuff is one called start-transcript. So what start-transcript does is it keeps a record of everything that goes on in your Windows PowerShell session and it sends it to a text file. So like get-history, it keeps track of what you've put in as far as command. But a little bit different, it captures everything that goes through the PowerShell console window. So to use it, I do a start-transcript, and then I put the path into where I want to locate this. So I'm going to send this C scripts, and I'm going to call this transcript01.txt. And so it tells us that it's going to output the file to that location. So I could put some different commands in here. I could do a get-service. I could do a CLS. I could go back up and do a get dash history. And then to stop the transcription, I just simply put in stop transcript, and it'll tell me that the transcript is stopped and that the output file is located in that C scripts directory. Now if I open up Notepad and go to that directory and open that, you'll notice at the top it's got a header and it tells me about the start time, the username who ran this, what machine it was on. And then as we go down, notice that it doesn't just have the command, it actually has the display. And I really like to use the transcript when I'm going through and I'm running different commands and perhaps I'm running into errors. It'll capture the errors for me, so I can actually get a look at a later date of what exactly I was doing in there. Not just the commands I ran, but actually all of the output that I got and came back to the screen for me. So this is a really cool learning tool as well. One thing to remember for stop-transcript and start-transcript is that when you close the PowerShell window, it will stop the transcription process and it basically just cuts off the transcript. So it'll still capture everything in there. Unlike get-history where you actually manually send it out, this will actually keep track of it in that location. So that's a couple tools for you to keep track of the things that you're working on. So next we're going to talk about pipelining and objects in PowerShell.